The Last Jedi is fundamentally the movie that has caused the biggest rift in the Star Wars fandom today.
Well said.
I hope this video really gets out there and goes viral. It's really going to explain a lot with how a lot of fans feel regarding The Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy with this new information that Mark Hamill has released in this interview, which you will see in just a moment. Before that, I want to announce two things. So we are giving away 2 free sabers at theorysabers.com. Right now, we're running a sale, Independence Day, in honor of July 4th. I'm working on becoming an American. My visa is pretty much almost through, and I'm very excited about that. And from there, then hopefully apply for, residency, citizenship, however it works. So anyways, we're giving away 2 free sabers with every single Pixel Saber purchase. So if you want to get 1 or 2, if you get 3, you get 6 free beginner sabers in your box. We've never done this type of sale. We know you guys wanted it, so we're making it happen just for the week of July 4th, starting right now. So go ahead, code FREEDOM. And also we will be at Fan Expo Denver, July 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. We will be there on all 4 days. Fan Expo Denver, Colorado. We're going to see you guys soon. And booth 1036. Can't wait to see you. And if you're not there, we will see you in the vlog and take you along for the fun adventures. We love you guys. Enjoy this video. It's a hard-hitting one for sure. I get pretty heated.
Fulfill your destiny. TheorySabers.com.
Mark Hamill just opened up about The Last Jedi for the first time in many years. And this was a few days ago on a channel called Bullseye with Jesse Thorne. He did a full interview with him for 45 minutes. I'm guessing about a new show or a character that he's playing. You guys can go check it out. I'm going to link it down below. But there is a lot here, of course, where they start to open up and talk about Luke Skywalker. I've seen a clip on Instagram, and I tracked down the full thing, and I have not watched it yet. So this is going to be my first watch through of what Mark has to say regarding Luke Skywalker, from George's time, who created the character, all the way to Rian Johnson, who destroyed the character. And we're going to go through it and see what's up. Sit back, relax, leave a like, and let's go.
Here goes nothing.
And what there is most likely directed towards a large-scale assault, like an armada. Like, we can slip through because we're the size of a dime compared to the Death Star. So intellectually, I could make sense of it, but now try and make it sound like it's an original thought that popped into your head. As Harrison once said to George about the dialogue, "Hey, you can write this, you just can't say it." I thought, boy, did he nail it. But I have to tell you, so they call in Star Wars, there was a contest on set on the call board. You could rename the movie without using the word wars, and no one ever could think of a better title. But
Starfight.
It seems funny at
Starfighters.
the time, 'cause when
I love the original 3 Star Wars movies, but I think my favorite Star Wars movie might be The Last Jedi, which is...
You can see how he got this interview now.
in a lot of ways, your movie, I think.
Every word of what you just said was wrong.
the way things were going, where I had the black glove over the hand that I lost, the third one was going to be about Luke struggling to decide whether to go to the dark side or not.
Funny enough, actually, that was a original concept, was that when Vader dies, the same way as it turned out in Return of the Jedi, Luke was going to take his helmet off, put it on to his head, and say, "Now I am Darth Vader." And that was actually what was supposed to happen. And then George changed it, of course. And if you notice with Luke's tunic, it was all black, and it had that chest plate, that collar that was flapped open with the white. And I always thought that was like a symbolic sort of mention or nod towards Luke and Vader. That, you know, even though Vader was this dark entity, he was in the dark side, he was this black figure, he is always remaining, he always has that little piece of the light side within him. And then Luke, who was maybe able to channel some dark side energies, he was dressed in a black tunic, but he always had that white piece that was symbolizing the light side. Even in the prequel trilogy, you can always see how Anakin is always, his face is always half and half. Go watch it again. You'll see pretty much every single scene in Revenge of the Sith half of Anakin's face is always in the shadows.
Rian Johnson is one of the most gifted directors I've ever worked with. He's amiable, he's fun on set, he's smart. He made a great movie. I think the staging of the standoff between Kylo Ren, Adam Driver, and I at the end is so well staged. You know, the foreshadowing that I'm not really there. Adam wipes the snow away and you see the red planet beneath. I wipe the snow and it's just snow. I mean, that's so subtle. I love Knives Out and Brick and Looper. He's one of my favorite directors.
All right, he's glazing so that he can kind of, I know he's going to say something opposite, or maybe he feels bad about all of the clips that have gone around of him that have gone viral where he's explaining how it's just a movie, that it's not his Luke Skywalker, it's Jake Skywalker, how he fundamentally disagrees with everything Rian did. I wish Mark would just be so, like, less Hollywood about this and just more candid about, look, like, let's be real. If we're trying to respect George and his character, screw all this bullshit.
It is the name of your true self you've only forgotten. I know there is good in you. The Emperor hasn't driven it from you fully.
Just say what it is. Just say it for what it is. Like, he destroyed the character. Stand by your convictions and stop glazing. Like, just say it how it is. And I hope he's going to do that, because we'll see.
Fear of loss is a path to the dark side.
The motivation for Luke becoming a suicidal hermit might have colored things in a way that maybe I should have kept that to myself. But I kept saying to Rian,
oh, man, don't keep any of this stuff to yourself. Like, this is what actors, like, they got to be more, like, candid, you know, real YouTubers. And I can't even say all YouTubers because most of them are fake today anyways. There are very few that have actual convictions to say what they mean and mean what they say. And they don't flip-flop just for the audience or for, you know, getting movie tickets and whatever. But Mark Hamill said what he said in the moment because he truly felt that way.
Let's all repeat the mantra, it's only a movie. And if you think you're going to go into the movie and recapture your childhood, you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
So all of this extra stuff about him feeling like what he said may have gotten the wrong idea in our heads, that we think that he doesn't like Rian Johnson, has nothing to do with that. I don't care about Rian Johnson as a human being. I'm judging him on his ability to portray Luke Skywalker and Star Wars, and that is what he has absolutely failed to do, in my opinion, and divided a fandom, which was his intention. If you've seen that clip rolling around from like 2 decades ago, he said a great movie, in his opinion, is where he creates one where an audience is divided. One half loves the film and the other half thinks it's the most horrible, useless, garbage thing that they've ever seen in their life. He says, to me, that's a successful film. It's demented.
Hardens his resolve in the face of adversity. So that's all. I said, can I make up my own backstory of why?
Exactly, and that's exactly the thing. And he would have 100% doubled down. Luke Skywalker, as we saw him in Return of the Jedi, would not have given up. He never would have given up. He believed in the good in his father after all of the stuff that Vader had done, and he continued to double down on it. I sense the good in you, Father. Let go of your hate. He believed in him. He gave his life to save his father because he believed that strongly that his father would return. And if he wouldn't save Luke, his son, then his father truly was dead. And there was nothing worth fighting for anymore. For him to like just leave and go and become a suicidal hermit, as Mark Hamill just said again.
Damn, Ron, come on! What's the matter with you?
Tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
That's not Luke. That's Jake Skywalker. And that is, The Last Jedi is fundamentally the movie that has caused the biggest rift in the Star Wars fandom today.
Well said.
If that movie had gone well and we had gotten the Luke Skywalker from NJO, the Luke Skywalker freaking 20, 30 years after Return of the Jedi that we were supposed to get, who was banding together a group of Jedi that was strong and powerful and even more rooted in his ways of just being a hopeful, positive being for the galaxy and a savior, the Star Wars fandom would be in such a better place. It wouldn't be so political. There wouldn't be so many ists and phobes thrown out everywhere if you didn't like a project or something. The very vitriol within the Star Wars fandom is not necessarily due to either side fighting each other. It's due to a lack of understanding that the Star Wars fandom that was before The Last Jedi, the true George Lucas fandom, that was in love with the story, in love with Luke Skywalker, and looking forward to seeing what Disney would continue. But Disney wanted to break it. They wanted to create their own thing. And that's exactly what Rian Johnson did. and they destroyed this hopeful character of Luke Skywalker, arguably one of the most important characters in all of movie cinema history, just to put his lick on the frickin' produce and put it back on the shelf. And that is why so many Star Wars fans today are so pissed off and angry, and they have completely left the building.
This is some good shit.
And what pisses me off is that everyone likes to throw ists and phobes around everywhere because people don't like shit. The reason most people don't like shit is because of The Last Jedi. It's because of its absolute assassination of a world-famous character that brought so much hope and love and strength to so many kids and people around the world for so many years.
Harrison Ford again, and he's talking about the old days, Carrie Fisher. How did you guys reminisce?
I said, you guys, I have a very bad feeling about this.
And they don't understand this. These new weekend Star Wars fans, they do not understand this, and they think we just hate The Last Jedi because of Rey. I don't give a shit about Rey. I give a crap about Luke Skywalker, and he was ruined.
What could make someone give up a devotion to what is basically a religious entity, to give up being a Jedi? Well, the love of a woman. So he falls in love with a woman. He gives up being a Jedi. They have a child together. At some point, the child, as a toddler, picks up an unattended lightsaber, pushes the button, and is killed instantly. The wife is so full of grief, she kills herself.
Well, I don't know. Luke wouldn't just leave his lightsaber laying around, and he would sense if his son was going to go and grab it, I'm pretty sure. So he really had to do some mental gymnastics in order to play this character. Like, I'm sorry, Mark. This is literally probably what he turned into, trying to mentally do those gymnastic moves in order to play Jake Skywalker from Rian Johnson. It probably broke him.
You have definitely got the best role in this film, haven't you?
You think? Top dad entrance. Wink.
That could possibly, but he didn't have the time to tell a backstory like that, I'm guessing. He just wanted a brief thing to...
It's not that Rian Johnson didn't have the time. It's that Rian Johnson didn't even know. He just wanted to create shock value. He wanted a contrast. If George had written Luke to be some suicidal hermit, Rian Johnson would have done the opposite. He would have made him who Luke Skywalker really was. I don't think Rian Johnson even knew why Luke ended up doing this. The reason behind it in The Last Jedi, listen, I've studied The Last Jedi more than The Last Jedi fans. I have tried to understand this film for my own sanity. Forget the channel, forget the theories, forget the videos. As a lifelong Star Wars fan, where Luke Skywalker was arguably the most important character to me, I tried to understand what this guy did to my character so that I could sleep at night, so that I could love Star Wars still and not feel betrayed by Disney. And then, of course, you get, all these other people like doubling down and Andy Gutierrez saying Luke Skywalker fanboy tears and all of this stuff. Pablo Hidalgo, emotions are not for sharing. All of this crap. It's not only like you destroy our hero, you then make fun of us for it. And you wonder why the Star Wars IP is shit. You wonder why so many Star Wars YouTubers have turned their backs. You wonder why nobody watches Star Wars shit anymore. No one's buying the toys, why the shelves are all full. Hell, Walmart isn't even buying Star Wars toys anymore for the characters. Nobody wants a Rose Tico. Nobody wants a Holdo. Nobody wants a Luke Skywalker Last Jedi.
McQueen is fading! McQueen is fading!
Everyone wants prequel trilogy. Everyone wants original trilogy because it had heart, because it explained a story. Those were characters we grew up with and that we loved. They made sense. They were relatable. Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi is not relatable at all. You start out as a weak, whiny farm boy with no vision of whatsoever of the future. You go through trial and error, Empire Strikes Back, you lose your hand, he's your father, Return of the Jedi, you come back, you're trained. You still lose. You throw it away for love. You throw your life away for love. You don't fight back. And in the end, your father redeems himself. He saves you. The galaxy is redeemed. The galaxy is saved. Then 30 years later, you end up just abolishing everything because your nephew has some bad visions, or you think he has some bad visions, or you imagine him doing things. And instead of actually trying to double down and work harder to make sure he does not turn to the dark side. I mean, forget Darth Vader, who already was like into the dark side for 20 plus years, had done horrible things that Ben Solo never did. And yet you still try to turn him back to the light, which is much harder than what you would have to do with Ben Solo, where he didn't even do anything. He just was maybe confused. So you show up in his sleep at his bedside with a freaking knife, with a lightsaber, and he wakes up. And then that makes you abolish everything and run away?
It was a Jedi Master who was responsible for the training and creation of Darth Vader.
And a Jedi who saved him. Yes, the most hated man in the galaxy, but you saw there was conflict inside him. You believed that he wasn't gone, that he could be turned.
And I became a legend.
Because he destroys your temple, which in the comic, and people think I don't know the sequel trilogy. I know it better than, I would say, most people, most sequel fans. And I had to study this to understand it. You want to know how the Jedi Temple, Luke's Jedi Temple, was destroyed? How all of those students pretty much killed? Not really Ben Solo. It's Snoke who fired Force lightning from off to wherever he was with his finger.
Thank you.
We're like this. Boom! Flash of lightning. Exploded Luke's temple and caught everything on fire. That's what blew the temple up.
Ben leaves the hut, and this is the aftermath right after what just happened in the Last Jedi's flashback. He looks to the temple, and it literally combusts into flame and electricity. If there's one thing that's Palpatine, it's electricity, and that's, symbolizing that he's returned or he's doing this. Now, we saw in The Last Jedi that Yoda did this as well to the Force tree with the sacred Jedi texts, which we all know Rey actually has. So it's not really far off that Palpatine could have done this as well with Luke's Jedi Temple. I mean, there are Force bubbles and shields, but I just think this really undermines everything that we've been coming to learn for Kylo's arc, whereas, we thought that he was the one who actually destroyed the temple and killed the students, but now we realize he didn't, so he's really not a bad guy. It's just confusing. I don't know. Kylo is blasted back, and he sees that people are dead. The Jedi Temple is on fire and exploded and in flames and pieces. He says, no. No! He tries to enter the temple to save people, and then he just gets thwarted back once again. Just like what Yoda did to Luke, but now, Palpatine or Snoke is doing it to Ben. He's crying and looking at the flames saying, I didn't want this.
And you did not choose it, Ben. The Jedi did. Skywalker.
No, not Hosnian Prime. I'm going somewhere else. Ben says to the droid who is trying to take him back to Leia.
I hope this video goes viral so you sequel fans can understand how ridiculous this whole thing is. And you're defending it from people who have grown up with Luke Skywalker and Star Wars. Let's listen to what he has to say, Lex.
To explain it. And to me, it didn't justify it. That said, and I told him this, despite the fact that I disagree with your choices for Luke, I'm going to do everything within my power to make your screenplay work as best that I can.
Well, yeah, he was getting paid $10 million or something like that to do it. Of course, he's an actor at the end of the day. He signed a contract. He got paid. Boom. He's going to do his job.
And the only thing unfortunate about that is I've heard comments from fans who think that I somehow dislike Rian Johnson. And
I don't think anybody thinks you dislike Rian Johnson, Mark. I think people want to just see you be real. I think people and fans, the fans that wait in line to pay for your autograph for $1,000, to pay for your photo ops, to see you because your character has inspired so many people in this world over all these decades. No one thinks you care about Rian Johnson. I don't think people even give a shit about Rian Johnson and his hundreds of millions of dollars that he's gotten from his new projects, which great for him. He's doing his job and he's succeeding. But he failed with Star Wars. He failed Star Wars fans. And he divided the fandom even more. And holding up that little cue card, your Snoke theory sucks. The Snoke theory from a freaking 12-year-old was better than the shit that he gave us with his $1 million contract. Let that shit sink in. None of these guys that were hired by Kathleen Kennedy, who appointed all of them. You want to know how Rian Johnson got the job of The Last Jedi? He came in to pitch Kathleen a Star Wars trilogy of his own, which is what they were going to do. Remember how they were announcing it and then it's been shelved? That was the original idea. And she said, you know what? We don't have a director for The Last Jedi for the middle of this new trilogy. Why don't you do it, Ryan? And he's like, okay. That's how he got the job. No collaboration with JJ. No talks, no scripts, nothing. Just, hey, you want it? All right, cool.
Yes! Yeah!
Thank you, Kathleen. I really appreciate that. That you did a great job. Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys need to stop huffing your own farts. Let the shield down and realize nobody actually hates anybody who did any of this shit. We hate what you did. We hate your decision making. We hate the way that you treat fans after you fart all over everything. You crop dusted all of us. And then you're saying, why are you making that face? Breathe it in. What the? No. What do you? No. What the hell, man?
There was something wonderful about watching you as a lonely person enduring a sort of crisis of faith, not just a crisis of faith of, you know, the religion of the film, of the Force and being a Jedi, but just to wonder whether you have your own place in the world, like whether your life is meaningful.
Right.
You know?
Well, yeah, I agree.
Bullseye with Jesse Thorne. I would love to debate with you The Last Jedi and Star Wars. I think it would be a really interesting conversation. If you would like to, let me know. Comment on this video, or you guys reach out to him and ask him if he would like to talk about it. As you guys know, I'm always extremely respectful despite other people being super rude to me. I love debating Star Wars. I love discussing Star Wars, the films, the books, the games, the comics, the characters. I think I can make some great points. It's funny that this movie is still making so many people triggered, including me. But when you destroy something like Luke Skywalker, when you hurt a character like that, I mean, it's hard not to, right? This is a timeless thing. You can't go back in time and fix that. And I think really the only person who could fix it is Jon Favreau if he doesn't have Kathleen Kennedy buzzing around telling him what to do and what not to do. The whole argument that I've seen with people from liking The Last Jedi and saying Luke Skywalker's character is very moving is simply this. It's someone who has lost their faith, someone who has lost their way, and they have to find their way back. Yes, very moving. That's, of course, what happens in life. You do lose your way. But you know what? It would be great if we would have had a trilogy where we got to see the middle part, because we started out with Luke being extremely loss of faith, not knowing what his faith even was, to training, to then losing again, and then finding his faith. And as he finds his faith, his father dies. He's now at the start of his career as a Jedi Knight. Would have been nice to have seen that version. Maybe 20 years later, you know? You want to destroy him 10 years after that? Okay. Make him lose his faith? Fine. But we already had that arc in the beginning. We don't need to have that now. That's the next thing that we see. We were waiting for something different. That's why so many people are pissed off, because we didn't get to see that. Listen, man, I grew up with 80s and 90s movies, action stars. You know, freaking Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dolph Lundgren, Bruce Willis, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee. Like you grew up with these guys who, yes, times get tough. Yes, you get beat down, you lose, but you never sulk. You never quit. You never leave. You never be weak. You always have to come back stronger, more powerful. You never give up. You never leave the people who are counting on you. Dragon Ball Z, for example. What are you, Yamcha? Even Yamcha has more of a grit than Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. None of these guys have time to obsess and whine over, do we belong? Yeah, you know what? That's a part of life. But that was Luke's part of life on Tatooine in episode 4. Do I belong? Where do I belong? What's the point of anything? Then he finds that. He gets that. And then all of a sudden, he's at his peak, like when he's well into his monkness, his oneness, he all of a sudden, because he wants to kill his nephew because he thinks his nephew has some bad thoughts.
See, now that's some bullshit.
Dude, how does anybody not see this? And I spoke with Matthew Stover years ago, brilliant writer, and he said that the only reason Luke did that is because he was fearful that Kylo would have killed Han Solo. Okay, but you know what? I feel like the real Luke would have actually tried against that, tried to change his ways, would have actually talked with Ben and felt out the situation. And look what happened anyway. He killed Han Solo anyways. It just goes to show that no matter what you do, no matter what you create, there will be always someone who dislikes or likes it. For me, I can't see the vision of these people who want this weak Luke Skywalker because they themselves see themselves as this weak being who then finds himself somehow but then dies. And the whole thing of Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi is this estrogenic, castrated as Mark Hamill said, suicidal hermit. You want hope. People have enough of that. You want hope. You want something real. And we got to see that arc from the original trilogy.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
You don't regress. This isn't even regression. This is just a literal different character.
I never knew that my favorite part of Star Wars would be a guy milking a space walrus, but here we are.
Well, there you go. Yes. I can't even remember the I have some character that's only in a video game. And he goes, and he describes the character. So I'm saying, I have no idea who that is. And he describes the character in detail, and he goes, and it's in, and he names the game, so it's canon. I mean, the Colbert writers.
What's his name? Ogdo
so
Bogdo?
Right,
something like that? That guy was such a bitch to kill. Oh my gosh. You guys remember those streams? Yeah, that was good times. You know, shout out to this gentleman, Bullseye with Jesse Thorne. Jesse Thorne for getting this interview. I don't know how you did, and frankly, this is probably going to have a lot more views now. But anyways, if you guys want to see the full thing, you can go there. I'm going to link it below. But look, I said all I needed to say pretty much regarding The Last Jedi and Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill and Rian Johnson. And I truly believe that if The Last Jedi was done the way a lot of us were hoping it would have been, and that means Luke Skywalker was who we hoped he would have been, which is how he should have been, and Legends, how George was going to write him with his sequel trilogy, with bringing Darth Maul back and all that stuff, and talking about the microorganisms like the midichlorians. If it was going to progress on Luke being more of an Obi-Wan character without losing his faith and being all the suicidal hermit, I think so many Star Wars fans and the Star Wars brand and IP, myself, would have been so much more hopeful, gracious with Disney and their decisions, because we would have not felt like they abandoned us and then stepped on us. And I think that's how a lot of Star Wars fans feel today. And I think one of the things that really continues to bother a lot of people is Disney's inability, Disney films, I call them now, inability to process this, take their ego out of it, and to understand the reason why so many of us older fans, even a lot of young fans, a lot of fans that come up to my booth at conventions, a lot of young kids who say they do not like the sequel trilogy. These are kids that grew up with the sequel trilogy. They're the ones who saw that for them was their prequel trilogy, like it was for me. There's a lot of people, young and old, that absolutely do not feel connected to that trilogy because it was disjointed and it wasn't really written by real Star Wars fans who understand the story as George wanted to say it. I'm not anybody to say, you don't understand Star Wars and I do. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to if we understand it in George's capacity and to continue on his rails of what he was writing, of where he wanted the character to go, and to respect his story. Nobody did that. And I will continue to fight and say my piece respectfully against all of these people who continue to shit on his name by saying these films are this, that, and the other thing, and they're exactly how Luke should have been. They're not. This is not how Star Wars should have been. This is not how Luke should have been. These are not how you treat fans. This is not how you treat an organization, a massive IP. And this is, most importantly, not how you treat the creator, the father of Star Wars, George Lucas, by saying you're going to take his treatment and use it, but just buy it, lock it away so nobody sees it and it doesn't see the light of day. And if that means that I'm going to get hated on and tried to get canceled and people will try and destroy me and my company and my brand and everything because I speak the truth and my truth, so be it.
So be it, Jedi.
That's fine. But at the end of the day, I know what I'm fighting for. I know I'm passionate about this. And I truly believe that if they ever want to correct Star Wars, they need to first understand what they have done to fans. And they need to know that this is not the way. You don't alienate an audience by killing off the main character, and you don't alienate an audience by making him weak and into some other complete different being, and you don't alienate an audience by discounting how they feel and then saying the only reason you are feeling this way is because you're racist and you're sexist and you're homophobic. I mean, it's adding insult to injury, and I don't think it's very nice, and I can see why so many fans have turned their backs. I can see why so many fans have been divided.
Say, watch out, because there are people out there who don't play by the rules, and if you're not careful, you're going to lose all your freedom. And at the same time, those people who may not play by the rules because they're selfish and greedy turn themselves into evil people who don't care about other people.
And it doesn't help that Disney is only bolstering one side of this new fandom and completely turned their backs on the ones that got them here. I believe in a one Star Wars fandom. I believe in a one love for Star Wars. And I believe that this story is extremely special and it brings a lot of different people from around the world together. And I think we need to respect what it was, respect what George created. And the only way we can do that is to be tolerant of each other's opinions. And I don't think that that's really the case from the Disney side. Anyways, this is my view on this interview. This is my view on The Last Jedi. And this is my view on the Star Wars fandom today. And I hope one day it'll be brought together and we can all think this was just a civil war of the past. And in the end, we unite together. But that takes work and it takes a lot of emotional maturity and understanding. That's definitely something I've learned for myself over the years too. So I ain't perfect either. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I will see you all in the next one on the better days.